Good evening, you're watching AWANI Tonight with me, Faye Kwan. Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob spent around 6 hours providing his statement to the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, MACC, today. He is expected to return tomorrow morning as part of the MACC's ongoing corruption investigation involving the former Prime Minister. The Borough MP arrived at the MACC headquarters at 9:45 a.m. and left under escort at 3:13 p.m. He and his legal team did not disclose any details about the purpose or nature of the investigation upon his departure. On March 1st, Ismail Sabri was questioned for 5 hours by the MACC regarding hundreds of millions of ringgit spent on promotional and publicity expenditures during his tenure from 2021 to 2022. MACC Chief Commissioner Tan Sri Azam Baki said the anti-graft agency would also record statements from 23 new witnesses over the coming days to assist in the probe. It follows allegations of corruption and money laundering involving Ismail Sabri, as well as a recent MACC raid that uncovered 170 million ringgit in cash and gold bars at several locations, including a safe house. The agency has also frozen 13 bank accounts containing 2 million ringgit. The Malaysian Communications and Multimedia Commission, MCMC, is willing to collaborate with the Health Ministry to address growing concerns about social media addiction, particularly its impact on users' mental health. Deputy Communications Minister Teo Nii Ching says this is because the MCMC and her ministry lack the necessary expertise related to mental health issues. She said that on the part of MCMC, they can issue guidelines and regulate platform providers to create safer standards for users under 18 years old. However, for adult users, she believed that individuals should be held accountable for their own choices. Nii Ching said this in reply to Senator Azahar Hassan during question time in the Dewan Negara. The senator wanted to know about the action being taken by the ministry in tackling the issue of social media addiction and its negative repercussions on one's behaviour, as well as mental and physical health. Nii Ching added MCMC is committed to raising awareness and educating the public on responsible and ethical use of social media through information sharing initiatives. The smoke and sounds of an explosion at the Abdullah Hukum LRT station last night were due to technical issues on a train. Rapid Rail Sdn Berhad, the operator of the Kelana Jaya LRT line, said one of its locomotives experienced technical glitches when it reached the station, triggering loud noises, smoke and confusion. Checks showed the incident was caused by a malfunction in the train's power collector assembly. Following the smoke, Rapid Rail said all passengers were safely evacuated and provided alternative train services to get to their next destinations. It added that the affected train was sent back to the maintenance depot for further investigation. Rapid Rail also said its engineers were instructed to intensify inspections on all trains operating on the Kelana Jaya line to prevent similar occurrences. A total of 5,272 young Malaysians under the age of 34 have been declared bankrupt since 2020, with cases rising in 2024. Youth and Sports Minister Hannah Yeoh reveals that 877 cases were recorded this year, 150 more than last year. The biggest age group affected, those between 25 and 34 years old, made up the vast majority with 5,189 cases. Meanwhile, 83 cases involved individuals younger than 25. The top cause is personal loans, which accounted for a staggering 46.4% of all bankruptcies this year. Business loans, housing loans and vehicle hire purchase loans also ranked high on the list. To address this, the government is launching financial literacy programs from April to October. Additionally, the Youth Economic Empowerment Program will focus on easing the cost of living for youth, particularly in the Central Zone. The government, along with the Credit Counselling and Debt Management Agency, is also rolling out more financial education and debt management initiatives. We'll be back with more after the break.
Kerap menggaru kulit kepala disebabkan keluh mumur, masalahnya lebih mendalam. Gunalah Head and Shoulders menembusi 5 lapisan untuk membasmi keluh mumur dan kegatalan. Bebas keluh mumur sehingga 100%. Head and Shoulders diuji secara dermatologi.
Penyasaran subsidi diesel di Semenanjung tidak akan memberi kesan kepada harga barangan keperluan di Sabah, Sarawak dan Labuan.
660 individu berusia bawah 21 tahun di Sarawak telah diberikan kewarganegaraan.
Sarawak kini menjalinkan kerjasama dengan Bank Dunia dalam menjayakan perdagangan karbonnya.
Nama dekat dia yang nak kata dah. Gapa dia hak jadah buat. Gapa dia hak jaga buat. Ayo restu.
KAHA, Kapla High Council. Sewa dan stream on demand atau sila ke saluran 480.
Vietnam has proposed allowing female workers to extend their maternity leave from 6 to 7 months when giving birth to their second child. The initiative aims to address the country's declining birth rate, which fell below the replacement level of 1.91 children per woman in 2024, a record low. According to the draft law, each couple and individual has the right to decide equally and voluntarily on the number of children, timing and spacing of births. In order to sustain the replacement fertility rate nationwide, Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh approved the program to adjust fertility rates by 2030. It encourages men and women to get married before the age of 30 and have children early, while encouraging women to have a second child before the age of 35. Vietnam's Population Authority also proposed rental and social housing support for women with 2 children who work at industrial parks, export processing zones, and provinces with low birth rates. Vietnam's population reached over 101 million people in 2024, making it the third most populous country in Southeast Asia. Canada will impose retaliatory tariffs on U.S. imported goods worth $20 billion effective Thursday. This is in response to U.S. President Donald Trump's steel and aluminium tariffs, according to Canada's finance minister. Incoming Prime Minister Mark Carney visited a steel plant in Hamilton, Ontario on Wednesday. Trump's increased tariffs on steel and aluminium imports took effect on the same day as prior exemptions, duty-free quotas and product exclusions expired, and as his campaign to reorder global trade norms in favour of the US gains momentum. Canada is the biggest foreign supplier of steel and aluminium to the US. These retaliatory tariffs are on top of $30 billion Canadian worth of US goods Canada initially imposed on March 4th in response to broader tariffs from Trump. Taiwan's President Lai Ching-te says China has deepened its influence campaign and infiltration against the democratic island. He says his government will propose various measures in response to counter Beijing's efforts of absorbing Taiwan. Speaking to reporters after holding a meeting with senior security officials, Lai said Beijing had used its democracy to absorb various members of society, including organized crime groups, media personalities, military and police officers. Citing government data, he said 64 people were charged with Chinese espionage last year, a threefold increase from 2021, with the majority of them being current or former military officials. Lai proposed 17 legal and economic countermeasures, including reinstating the military court and imposing stricter reviews on visits or residency applications to the island by Chinese citizens. He also said the government would issue reminders to Taiwanese performers, such as actors and singers in China, regarding their statements and actions. It is a response to what Taipei sees as an ongoing Chinese campaign to pressure pop stars to make pro-Beijing comments. Taiwan has accused China of escalating pressure in recent years through military drills, trade sanctions to influence campaigns, as Beijing asserts its sovereignty claim over the democratically governed island. United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres announces the launch of the UN80 initiative, a major reform to the global organization at its 80th anniversary this year. Speaking to the media in New York, he highlighted the multiple crises facing the globe, which have placed heightened demands on the organization.
The United Nations has never been more needed. Our values have never been more relevant, and the needs have never been greater. At the same time, we know the more the UN does together to address big challenges around the world, the less the burden on individual countries to do it alone.
He stressed that a liquidity crisis has severely hampered the UN's ability to effectively fulfill its mandate, given the fact that not all member states pay in full and many also do not pay on time.
It is essential that an organizational system as complex and crucial as the United Nations subjects itself to rigorous and regular scrutiny to assess its fitness for purpose in carrying out its goals efficiently. And this 80th anniversary year of the United Nations is a prime moment to expand all our efforts, recognizing the need for even greater urgency and ambition. That is why I have informed yesterday UN member states that I am officially launching what we call the UN 80 initiative.
To address these challenges, Guterres announced the formation of a dedicated working group, which will be tasked with proposing reforms to member states, focusing on 3 key areas.
The objective will be to present to member states proposals in 3 areas. First, rapidly identifying efficiencies and improvements in the way we work. Second, thoroughly reviewing the implementation of all mandates given to us by member states, which have significantly increased in recent years. And third, a strategic review of deeper, more structural changes and program realignment in the UN system.
Some of the last remaining hostages, who were held captive by Pakistani separatist militants since Tuesday's train attack, have arrived in MACC in the early hours of Thursday. Pakistani security forces stormed the train on Wednesday, which had been hijacked by the Balok militant group, killing all 33 attackers and ending a day-long standoff. They added that 21 hostages and 4 security troops were killed over the course of the operation. The hostages freed during the operation arrived to the town of MACC early on Thursday, where they boarded buses and were transported under tight security to Quetta, the capital city of Balochistan province. The Balok Liberation Army, which claimed the attack, blew up the railway track on Tuesday and hurled rockets at the Jafar Express when it was on its way to Peshawar from Quetta, carrying 440 people. At least 155 people were freed on Wednesday and arrived to Quetta station, where anxious relatives were waiting. Now that report wraps up AWANI Tonight. Do check out our web portal, keeping you informed on the critical events shaping our world, all in one place at international.astroawani.com. That's all for now. I'm Faye Kwan. Thank you for watching and good night.
Daulat Tuanku.
Dewan Negara pada Khamis meluluskan usul menjunjung kasih titah diraja. Kerajaan Madani di bawah pimpinan Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim telah berjaya